Hey, where am I? Wait. Ah, there we are. Cool. Hello. I hate when you just finish eating something good, but it makes your throat all flimmy. I am 31 today. I don't feel any older, though. I suppose that's a good sign. Alright, let's see. Halt. I know where I'm at. I'm just trying to figure out. So, for anyone just now joining us, one, thank you. Especially when we're like almost done with the novel by this point, honestly. Although, if you would like to listen to the other chapters, they are in VODs on my YouTube channel in their own playlist, and they're great. 31, I'm shocked. What are you shocked by? Do I not sound 31? I have been told. I was told last year by an older person that I looked like I was 19, and I'm like, oh, thank you. I love it. I love it. I love being confused for a younger age. It's fucking fantastic. I think I get it from my mom because she doesn't look as old as she is. She doesn't look more than 50, but she's like 60-something, and I'm like, damn. So like 24. Yay! Still catching them. Still tricking them. Still tricking them. Hell yeah, brother. Oh, I just thought of a terrible joke. The youthful vigor of autism. Oh, could you imagine if that's how that worked? Woo! I mean, I honestly do think that, like, you know, barring some exceptions, you really are only as old as you feel or as young as you feel. If you've managed to convince yourself that being 30 is old, you've already lost. If you feel old because someone tells you that a game released in 2001 was over 20 years ago, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't affect me that much. That's just because I have a different perception of time. Like, not in a I'm so special kind of way, obviously. What I mean is that, like, I compare the passage of time to more broader aspects. Like, the 1960s wasn't that long ago compared to how long ago, like, the Egyptians were. And even then, I'm pretty sure that... Oh, I can't remember what this actual fact was, but it's something along the lines of, like, the Egyptians either lived closer to the dinosaurs or closer to us compared to the opposite. I forget which one it is, but it's such a cool thing. Even as like a teenager, I never like strived to be or look older. I was like, why would you want to do that, man? When you're 25, you're gonna look 30. That's dumb. But anyway, so for any of y'all who have not heard me read this novel before, which is Alara Unbroken, part of the Magic the Gathering storyline overall, but this can be its own self-contained book, which I really like about it. It takes place on a multi-plane plane, something like that, called Alara, which used to be one big plane, but at some point thousands of years ago cracked and split into 5 chunks. And let's see if I can remember all 5 of them without looking it up. There's Bant, Grixis, Naya, Esper, and Jund. Fucking got it. I've been getting back into MTG recently. Fuck yeah, Samantha! If you ever want to play Magic online, not like the actual game Magic Online, but just Magic the Gathering in general online, I'd love to. I really want to play Magic with more people online. It's super fun. There's a free software called Cockatrice, where you can build your own decks or import decks from other websites that you use. And it's fucking fantastic. Cockatrice, I don't know. Either way, when last we left off, the events had been set in motion that is causing the shards of Alara to forcefully merge together, and they have done so, and pandemonium has ensued. Let's see. Bant is being invaded by Esper, which is Esper's full of like zombie wizards, and Grixis as well on both sides. Esper on one side, Grixis on the other side, with Bant in the middle. I've gone to Untap.io. I've never heard of that. That sounds really cool. I'm gonna have to look that up. Cockatrice is just what I use for playing Magic Online for free. Let me look that up real quick. Something better with my time. Something better. Oh, .in. Okay. It's okay. Untap.in. I didn't know .in was a thing. Untap.in brings you a world of deck building with playtesting against real opponents directly in your browser. That's cool as fuck, dude. Holy shit. I'm gonna bookmark that. Cockatrice is something that you do have to download, but still, I don't think it's that hard of a thing to pick up and play. All I did was kind of mess around with it for a little while. But yeah, that sounds really fucking cool. I hope it allows you to like import decks and stuff. Because I use Manabox and Moxfield for my deck making. Yeah, bookmarks bar. Okay. I will have to share that around. That's especially if it's like works really well. Yeah, it does, I think. Ooh. I hope it's less cumbersome, because the big issue with Cockatrice is that it's a bit cumbersome. So I'm hoping that the layout and the UI is a little more smooth and streamlined. But for now, let's see. Right now, the current chapter is on Naya. Each chapter takes place on a different shard of Alar, and we're following one of the main character's friends. I'd have to see Cockatrice to compare. The UI is pretty sparse, but I mean its simplified nature kind of makes it easy to get into. There are keyboard shortcuts when you play, but you can just right click to do different stuff. There aren't really any format subject the way formats work on Cockatrice is that when two people go into a game, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna play this game," and they're like, "Okay," or "We're gonna play this format," and they're like, "Okay." Like, there's no commander format. What you have to do is you have to make a deck of 99 cards and then put your commander in the what the fuck is it called? In the sideboard. And then when the game starts, you open your sideboard and show your commander to your opponent. Be like, "Hey, there's my commander." It works. I dig it. And you can do like private games and whatnot with friends online. But either way, I'm already late in starting, and I want to at least get some pages read. I'm drinking some grape soda this evening. But yes, we are following Zaliki, who is a childhood friend of Johnny, who's a Leonin from Naya, whose spark ignited the leak. No, it's Zaliki. Here, hold on. For all you furries in the chat, hello, fellow furry. If it'll load, there we go. That's a Johnny. Hey, hold on. There we go. That's a Johnny. And then the lioness lady we will be following is this lady, Zaliki. Daddy, I fucking knew it. Oh, mommy. Dude, Magic's full of hot ladies. You don't even fucking know, I'm telling you. Anyway, that's apparently from the comics, which I have not read. One of the comics, anyway. But anyway, we are on Naya. And Zaliki is leaving her village after a legendary Leonin showed up out of fucking nowhere. Because this other Leonin was secretly helping the main villain, Nicol Bolas, this whole time. And in exchange, he received a longer lifespan, but now he's like, man, what's the point if I'm doing shitty things while I'm living a longer life? Anyway, Zaliki's journey took her deep into the woods and up through the foothills. When night came, she didn't stop and traveled by the light of the moon. Overhead, she heard the sounds of flying creatures, horrible monsters making war on Naya. She saw streams of fire and the bright spellcraft of elves. The world was changing in ways she didn't understand, but she had to focus on what she could affect. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic. She only knew that she had to get to the ancient forbidden city of Kassal before Marisi's army did. Marisi is the name of the legendary Leonin warrior who shows up out of fucking nowhere. Everyone thought he was dead. He's not dead because Nicol Bolas is keeping him alive. And Marisi looks like this. Another lion daddy. Although now he's a zaddy. Wait, is zaddy's older than daddy, right? Zaddy's a older. I'm not clear on the nomenclature, but either way, there is Marisi. By the way, all of this art that I'm showing you, except for Zaliki, they are official Magic cards. By morning, she had reached the outer walls of Kassal. She saw a tower spire reaching up from inside the city. On the hills beyond it, she saw the broken white stones of the coil, carved with the scratch forms that codified Nakadal law before Marisi's revolution had smashed it to pieces. Nakadal is the name of the lion in people. Right? Like, he be fucking beefing it. Wait, hold on. Who is this? Is this Clown Core? Oh, yeah, it is. I fucking love Clown Core. But not right now. Now is not the time for goofs and clown gaffs. As much as I love Clown Core, if you like weird ass music like this, that like suddenly like shifts into like a fucking death metal beat with yes! Oh, Sammy, I'm so happy that you know Clown Core. No one I know knows about Clown Core. I fucking love Clown Core. Sorry, I'm losing. No, you're good. You're good. Oh, it's been forever since I've had people in chat when I'm reading. It's nice. All right, we're gonna skip to some Cooper Bros battle. Sure, why not? Where are we? An arrow pierced the ground next to Zaliki's foot. She turned to see Cloud Nakadal archers along the top of the city wall. So the Cloud Nakadal are, so there's two different tribes of cat people, or Nakadal, on Naya. There's the Wild Nakadal, which Ajani was part of, which was formed when Marisi essentially like looked at the rules and was like, fuck this, let's be wild, and then they formed their own tribe. The Cloud Nakadal still followed the like rules of society and whatnot. Where are we? She turned to see Cloud Nakadal archers along the top of the city walls. I'm unarmed and alone, Zaliki called up to the walls of Kassal, the capital of the Cloud Nakadal prides. As far as Zaliki knew, the Cloud Nakadal hadn't had a Wild Nakadal visitor since the breaking of the coil. The two super prides had been divided since Marisi's revolt. If they trusted her, it would be a miracle. Neuron activated. That's valid. That's valid, Samantha. A guard called down from the top of the wall. You're a Wild Nakadal and a shaman, he said. You coming here even with hands empty is an act of aggression. Speak quickly and carefully before I tire of instructing my archers to miss. I need your help, said Zaliki, and I fear in a few days' time you will need mine. Some time passes. The Cloud Nakadal ambassador was a stern, gray-furred Nakadal. He wore layer upon layer of fine robes and collars of ochre and maroon, and silver rings on his fingers. Beside him sat an old female with white eyes. I am Banat, and this is my advisor, Ruki, said the ambassador. You're being given an audience only because you cooperated with the guards, but I warn you, if you cause any disturbance, we will be forced to act. Yes, creaked the old crone Ruki. I'll be forced to kill you. I don't even want to kill you. Super pride, hell yeah. The super pride. Let's see. Zaliki kept her retort to herself. She nodded. You say an army approaches, said Banat. Yes, Zaliki said. Marisi, or someone claiming to be him, has gathered all of the wild Nakatl together once again. They intend to mount an attack on Kassal. Banat frowned. This is very serious. Do you have any evidence of this? Send your scouts to the east into the valley. They'll see the advancing army there. They intend to attack on the anniversary of the breaking of the coil. You risk death by coming here, said Ruki. Why would you warn us? Because I believe that Marisi isn't actually after Kassal. I believe that Marisi isn't actually after Kassal. She produced Jazal's documents and slid them across the table. Ambassador Banat began to study them. He's after the obelisk. Their faces showed surprise. What do you know of the obelisk? Asked Banat. Nothing, really, said Zaliki. My Ka, Jazal, was studying these prophecies before his recent death. She indicated the documents in Banat's hands. They have similar elements across several races and cultures. They all mention an apocalyptic prophecy, and they all mention a spire of golden stone. Jazal's notes indicated that he believed the edifice was here in Kassal. Was he right? Do you know what he meant? Banat looked at Ruki. There is no golden spire in Kassal. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. That kid. Unless he simply means the Tower of Kassal. It's a symbol of our Cloud Nakatl culture, and now Marisi has come back to destroy it, said Ambassador Banat, which will make these prophecies come true, and which will trigger war all over again, among the Nakatl and across all of Naya, said Zaliki. And that's the end of that chapter. The chapters in these books are really short, and I don't know why, but I don't mind it. It makes me feel like I'm making real progress. But we go over to Bant, which is the chunk of... Oh yeah, Naya is the chunk of Alara represented by white, green, and red mana, and Bant is the shard of Alara represented by white, green, and blue mana. Alright, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Do I have RSL? No, I do not. Well, boo. Let's see here. They also didn't make a card for Mubin either, which sucks because he's a major character in the book. Alright, we'll just have to do a panorama of Bant, and you'll just have to imagine the visage of a rhino man talking to an angel lady. There is no Warren Bossing say. Warren Bossing say. Aw, shucks, really? But I just got settled. Oh my god. What's your name? Warren Ba Sing Say. No fucking way. No. Warren, first name, middle name, Bossing, and then the last name Say. Warren Bossing Say is my name. Oh my god, that almost sounds like a real name. What's your name? Warren? Warren Say? Middle name? Bossing? No! Oh, man. Anyway. What? Yeah, Warren Bossing Say. That's perfect. Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate that. Whew. Alright, we are on Bant, and Mubin, a rhino man, which his race is known as a Rox, I think. Yes, Rox. R-H-O-X. He was recently injured by one of his best friends because Mubin himself had been possessed by one of the mages from Esper to start killing his comrades, and in a sort of real Sophie's Choice situation, his friend Rafik had to cut him down without killing him, but in his haste or desperation to do so, he wound up cutting Mubin's spine, so now he can't walk. And with Mubin stuck in the hospital, he started reading the ancient texts of Bant and was like, "Hold the fucking phone here." And so he's requested to see the leader, one of the leaders, whose name is Aaaall. And he is currently in the process of trying to reason with her. Aaaall the Blessed laughed uncomfortably. "I admit that I generally don't understand Rock's humor. You want to do what?" "Dig up the 12 trees of Valoron," said Mubin. "I know it's a big favor, but It's not a favor, Mubin," she was angry. "It's sacrilege." Sacrilegious. "You know as much as anybody the history of these trees. Their roots are Valoron's own. They hold inside them the very pith of our heritage. Like I said, I don't understand this joke of yours." "It's not a joke," said Mubin. "I believe that the war effort needs what's buried under them." "What's buried under them? You mean the myth of the Sword of Asha?" "It's no myth." "What?" "Now hold on," interrupted Aaraall's Order of the Skyward Eye advisor. "Aaraall, this is obviously a trick." "You stay out of this," said Mubin. "Don't talk to me. No, wait. Don't talk like that to him," said Aaraall. "Warnoth has been my trusted advisor for several years now. He's a historian and a scholar of archaeology, in his own right. He studied the 12 trees his entire life. He would know whether there are fragments of a sword buried under there." Yep, thank you for the quote. What is it? Thank you for sourcing that quote, Samantha. I appreciate it. Mubin glared at the advisor and turned back to Aaraall. His best hope was the direct approach. "Highness, I believe that the Order of the Skyward Eye has been propagating a campaign of deception across Bant for years. They've been manipulating our traditions, introducing falsehoods into our histories, and backing up their claims with forged documents and relics." "Preposterous," scoffed Warnoth. "In particular," continued Mubin, "they've obscured the part of the Asha parable that matters most to Bant's survival against the other planes. That the holy sword of Asha, with which the Archangel slew the demon Malfagor, lies in 12 pieces beneath the 12 trees. We have always believed the fragments of the sword to be mythical, and simply symbolic of the 12 virtues held sacred in Valoron. But I believe that it may be literally true. I found this." Mubin produced a stone fragment, a relic he had taken from the ruins at Giltspire, and a prayer book, the tome given to him by the cleric who had watched over his recuperation. "This is a fragment of Giltspire, gathered just after it collapsed, and this is a book of prayer from an Akrasan? Akrasan? I don't know. Akrasan. Akrasan, or Akrasan, either way. Cleric. Each has been modified. I cross-referenced the changes that were made to each one and used them to decode each other. The changes have downplayed the truth of the story of the sword and emphasized the need for global war in times of strife." Aaraall the Blessed looked at her advisor. "We're already at war," said Mubin, "so that can't be helped anymore. What we can do is reforge the sword, the artifact that was erased from Bant's history, from Bant's records." Thank you for the lurk, Samantha. I appreciate. What we can do is reforge the sword, the artifact that was erased from Bant's records, to have a weapon against the evils that face us. "That is a bold theory and a very serious accusation against the Order of the Skyward Eye," said Aaraall. Mubin held his breath. If she relented, he believed he could help win the war that threatened all of Bant. If she didn't, "I'd like you to leave and never return to my palace ever again," said the Blessed. Guards took hold of the reins of Mubin's Leotau. A smug smile crossed the face of Aaraall's Skyward Eye advisor. "Oh no! The truth is attempting to be said, but no one's listening." Alright, we're back on Naya with Zaliki. Let's skip to something less jovial. As much as I love Sonic Heroes, now's not the time. Sure, why not? The breeze was cool. It rustled the folds of Zaliki's cloak. She stood before the outskirts of Kassal, its mighty main tower glowing in the sun. Before her were thousands of Nakatl, Marisi's army. Marisi himself was nowhere to be seen, if it was truly him. But she knew he would be known, or he would be down there somewhere. Zaliki approached. The breeze gossiped excitedly through the treetops all around them. Not a soldier moved on either side. "Marisi," she cried, "I call you out." "I'm calling you out." What was this, Old Western? There was no movement, only row after row of the eyes of her fellow wild Nakatl. "Marisi, you and I have a personal matter to settle. That matter is Jazal." Banners flapped in the breeze. Only after several long scans of the assembled army did she see movement. Nakatl warriors parted to make way for someone. Marisi stepped forward. He was in war garb, from head to foot, and carried a spear decorated with the teeth of behemoths. "Hello, child," said Marisi. "Do you know who I am?" Zaliki asked. "Is that you, child? Are you the young shaman of Jazal's pride?" "I am." "Then you were my servant for an important task." Her eyes were cold. "I was." "You did the right thing, then. You didn't realize the enormity of what you had done, but I'm here to tell you now that it pushed the needle of history. Your actions resonated through this entire world, and I've come to realize much, much more." "I was a fool to plant that artifact," Zaliki cried. "I was a fool to believe you and your message of freedom. I was a fool to distrust Jazal and his belief that the sundering of our race was a mistake. It was worse than a mistake, though, wasn't it? It was a cold calculation. Your lies tore our people apart, Marisi, to spread hate and distrust among us. Today I'm here to stop them from tearing apart our world." "Child, you still don't realize the role you've played," Marisi said. "You don't know how proud I am of you. Look around you. 2 armies ready to reenact a bloody battle a generation old. It all repeats, child. An escalation of power, a breaking of stone. I know you're bitter, but you shouldn't blame yourself. No one succeeds who stands in the way of prophecy." "There's no prophecy, Marisi," Zaliki said. "This is not going to happen again. Not this time. Not with me here." "I respect your bravery and your misguided attempt to redeem your actions," Marisi answered. "But it's not up to you, child, nor is it up to me. We are but pieces in the grand game. We're here to play our role today, nothing more. I can say from experience, pretending otherwise only makes it worse." "I believed in you, old man," said Zaliki. "I believed in your name. I believed in your message of freedom, as did my entire generation. How could you betray that trust? Freedom is the luxury of the strong and the powerful." Bad answer. My upper back's hurting. I'm trying not to lean forward so much. I'm grabbing my Gengar. See if I can't lean on him. Oh, that's better. Whew. Ooh, we're going to Grixis. Let's see. Army. Okay, so there's no card named Kaeda. He never got his own card, sadly. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna go for a Grixis Panorama. And Grixis is the zombie apocalypse world. Death and decay everywhere. Ugh. Hold on. Whoa. Excuse me. Oh boy. I think I'm gonna get the mental energy for an hour and a half. But we'll see. Alright. He may only have been a glorified messenger, but Kaeda, the Aven, didn't take his orders lightly. Rafik himself had given him his mission, to fly back to Bant ahead of them and warn them of the coming of Malfagor's army. And he was determined to carry them out, no matter what might happen to him. He outpaced the undead army rather easily. Some casters fired spells at him, and a small flock of diseased black-feathered aven creatures tried to get in his way. But both attacks failed. He was a military-trained, thrice-decorated soldier of Valoron. They were half-living wretches whose minds were chained to a lord of evil. Furthermore, he found that the vigor of life and the power of his devotion to his cause were by themselves enough to give him an edge against any Grixis combatants he faced. The Grim Legion was relentless and brutal, and they had no spirit in them to fuel their might. Kaeda cut a straight line from Grixis to Bant, flying as fast and as true as he could manage. Lightning flashed in the black clouds above him, occasionally buffeting him with booms of thunder. The gloom of Grixis faded into a font of drizzly clouds from Esper. He kept that front on... It's Bant, and then in front of Bant is Esper, and then further beyond that is Grixis. That's what it is. Let's see. He kept that front on his right side and flew. He flew for hours, which stretched into relentless days. His sense of time dulled. His pinion joints ground themselves raw. Ouch. That sounds uncomfortable. When he saw a glow ahead of him, he felt a flood of relief. Finally, he was in range of his bright home of Bant. He summoned up the last of his reserves and flew straight for the light. But something was wrong. The closer he flew toward the light, the more he realized that the light did not come from Bant. A sphere of swirling energy the size of a small mountain glowed ahead of him. As he approached it, he felt the air currents change. They spun around the glowing globe like a funnel, pulling him down into its center. Flares of energy exploded outward fitfully, threatening to singe his feathers. Warily, Kaeda veered away from the maelstrom, trying to steer clear of it, but its irrepressible pull threatened to draw him into its chaotic center. He tired quickly and wondered whether he would just fall in and die. Kaeda, you must warn Bant, said Rafiq's voice in his memory. I'm counting on you. We'll be there as soon as we can. The Aven found new resolve and beat his wary wings through the pain slowly. He dragged his flight path out of the maelstrom and escaped from it. He was doing it. He was going to deliver the message and fulfill his duty. That already tells me he's not going to. As he passed around the sphere, he saw the light beyond it. The natural sunlight looked so beautiful that he was surprised he ever mistook the maelstrom for it. He flew in Bant's direction gratefully. But with his back to the maelstrom, a flare of energy erupted from the vortex and lanced Kaeda's wing, utterly destroying it. As he plummeted out of the sky, Kaeda shrieked in pain. God fucking damn it, why even write all of that description only for him to just get ganked? Come on! I don't know. Maybe it makes for a better story to write out his trials and tribulations only for them to fail, as opposed to just be like, oh, he was on his way and then he got shot down. I don't know, man. It just feels like a waste of page space. But like I said, I guess there's an art to storytelling where, like, just saying that he got shot down is much less interesting than reading about how it happened. Alright, we're back to Naya. Zaliki couldn't stop the battle from happening, but maybe she could stop Marisi from destroying the Tower of Kassal. With a thrust of Marisi's spear, his warriors leaped toward her with their swords high. She had never thought she'd have to use magic on her own people, but she had no choice. Zaliki called on the jungle corridors of her home, which filled her with nature's strength and fury. Her arms cut a circular hole in the air, and out of the circle tumbled a torrent of vicious timber wolves that circled around her, forming a living barrier between the wild Nakatl and herself. At her command, the Mongols? What? Mongel. Mongol. What? That may be a spelling error, because I thought it was mongrel. The mongrels pounced, each tearing into a nearby warrior. Meanwhile, she focused her energies on Marisi. Marisi leaped forward and stabbed the point of his spear right at her. She countered with a spell that caused a sudden burst of growth in the underbrush, entangling his spear in vines and absorbing the force of his attack. The vines devoured the spear, crushing the handle into splinters and pulling the weapon down into the earth. Weaponless, Marisi launched forward and tackled Zaliki. She controlled her fall and rolled with the impact, throwing him off of her. She tried to summon a barrier made of brambles between them, but he was too quick, and grabbed her leg. She stumbled as her feet were pulled out from under her, and she slammed into the ground. "Give up, little cub," growled Marisi. "I'm twice the fighter you are." She rolled over and bared her teeth. "But only half the warrior," she replied. "Got him!" With that, she uttered a spell. Zaliki's leg grew in Marisi's claws, and every other part of her body grew along with it. Her body expanded, unfolded, fueled by magic of uncontrolled growth. Soon she was the size of a giant, and Marisi had lost his hold on her. A solid kick to his chest sent him flying. She stood and towered over the heads of both armies. "Now come here, you!" she boomed and reached down to grab Marisi. Marisi somersaulted out of the way of Zaliki's giant claws and ran into the thick of the battle, dodging sword blows and spear thrusts. Zaliki lumbered after him, occasionally crushing combatants underfoot. Oh. So hey, now we know she's part gigantus, I guess. Where are we? The old warrior was too quick. She couldn't move her enormous limbs fast enough to throw him through the forest. It was going to take more magic. Zaliki reached out with her mind to all nearby available sources of natural mana. Her mind immediately touched a powerful source nearby, and she felt a surge of power. Why hadn't she felt this before? Instinctively, she opened herself to it, letting the mana blossom inside her. With it, she fueled a massive spell that summoned a charging gargantuan onto the battlefield, sending it directly at Marisi. The gargantuan shook the earth with its galloping footfalls, and warriors from both armies dove out of its path. In seconds, the gargantuan head-butted Marisi with its bony facial plates, sending the cat flying. Hell yeah. Marisi fell to the earth with a thud, and the beast slowed and stopped over his limp body. Zaliki had time to stride over to Marisi and pick him up. Fuck yeah. She held the Nakatl up above her head in one hand and looked down at the warriors below. "Warriors, stop this battle now. Marisi is a liar and a warmongering fraud." The shouts in response were not what she wanted to hear. "Kill the traitor, in Marisi's name. Destroy her." One voice she couldn't hear over the shouts was Ambassador Banat yelling at her from the ground. "Zaliki, don't," he cried. "No more. No more magic. You're destroying it." It would take one more display of force, Zaliki thought. She had to show her wild Nakatl that their leader was mortal, and show them how serious she was about her cause. If she had to martyr Marisi, so be it. "I believe in you," she said to the Nakatl in her hand. "Oh, I believed in you." "It's not your fault," said Marisi. Zaliki drew on the power source of mana again. A dramatic drought of the energy. What? A dramatic drought of the energy? I feel like that's the wrong word they're using there. Drought implies less stuff. She channeled it into a spell to augment her own strength sevenfold. Muscles rippled throughout her already giant-sized body. She brought her arms back as if to clap her hands, and then brought her palms together, smashing Marisi between them. The crowd gasped in unison. Then behind her there was an explosive sound of stone cracking. She turned to see the Tower of Casal fracturing and crumbling apart. God damn it, Zaliki. Alright, so we're back on Naya again for the next chapter, but we are from the POV of Nicol Bolas, or his Spanish name is Nicole Balls, because bolas is Spanish for balls. Hilariously enough. It's good, because he's a fucking dickwad. And he was overused back in the day as a villain. Shit sucks. Anyway. Bolas perched on a Naya mountaintop, surveying the world around him in a state of boredom. For a 20,000-year-old dragon, he had precious little patience. Where was the signal flare? That aging Leon and hero Maurici should have signaled him for their rendezvous. Bolas had seen nothing from him. The lack of information that presented was unsettling. Without his minions checking in with him, he had no eyes or ears on the plains other than Grixis. Oh, boo frickety hoo. No, this dickhead doesn't get such pretty music. Yeah, sure. Why not? Where are we? Perhaps the attack on Casal hadn't gone well? If Maurici had failed at Casal, then that meant the obelisk of Naya might not be free and functional. That would mean he would have to find and condition an all-new minion on Naya, and that could take days or weeks, time he didn't have. There was one way to find out. He closed his eyes and reached out with his inner senses. The planeswalker spark had sight him connected with dozens of mana sources all over the plane, large and small. Gradually, he perceived a web of interconnected fonts of mana glittering in his mind's eye. He followed along them, looking for new sources of mana. He soon found it. A glaring new pillar of mana generation near the shrines of Casal. That was it, the obelisk of Naya. It was active. Bolas could see that it radiated stable mana to the areas physically near it, but also it channeled mana elsewhere in a steady stream. It was that stream of mana energy that made him smile. Maurici had missed his meeting. That meant he was dead, or ready to accept death once Bolas tracked him down and punished him. But he appeared to have succeeded anyway. Bolas summoned up a bit of the jagged local mana and planeswalked out into the blind eternities. The blind eternities being the space between planes. Oh, the Maelstrom. Okay, so we are in a place that's in between the shards of Alara, but it's not the blind eternities. It's called the Maelstrom. And the closest I could find was the Maelstrom Wanderer, which, don't worry about the creature itself, it's the background that's the important part. Voila. Voila. Anyway. Oh, we're back with Kaeda. When Kaeda, the Aven of Bant, awoke, his first thought was of his mission. How close was the Grixis army? Had they already passed him? There was no sign of them, not along the route anyway. He must have been unconscious only for a short time. He looked back and saw the swirling maelstrom. Was it his imagination, or was it even bigger than before? His body was a cage of agony. He had tumbled as he had fallen out of the sky, and the gusts around the maelstrom had thrown him a wind shear. Had thrown him a wind shear? Well, yeah. The maelstrom is throwing a wind shear at him that had sent him sideways, so he had fallen awkwardly. Not since he was a fledgling had he fallen so badly. Thanks to his light bones, he hadn't crushed himself in the impact, but everything was thoroughly bruised, and his left talon was twisted. His tentative attempt to move his wing was punished by pain. The wing was ruined. There was nothing coming out of that shoulder but a blackened branch of bone. Ugh. There would be no flying out of here. With supreme effort, he lurched onto his good leg. He tested himself with a step, which ended in a graceless limp. He lurched a few more steps, wincing in pain, and fell. He pushed himself up again. Someone still had to warn Bant of Malfagor's approach. If I have to stagger for miles on foot to do it, he thought, then that's how it would have to be done. Hell yeah. We return to aaaall in the Blessed Palace. Okay, so we're back to a Bant panorama. Oh, this is actually really appropriate music, too. The song is called Run. from Final Fantasy IX. Lovely. God damn it. No, that's Brea. She's hot, but she's not relevant right now. Love Brea. She's one of my commanders for my commander deck. Aarasil the Blessed came down to the palace courtyard in her sleeping robe. It was late at night in Valoran. Crickets chirped and the stars shone in the constellations shaped like angels. She wouldn't have been awake at this hour except that Aarasil's guards had called her. They had detained a man, a human of mortar cast, who looked hysterical. Aarasil rubbed her eyes in annoyance. "All right, I'm here. I'm awake. What is it?" "This man says there's an emergency," said a guard. "Highness, please, I beg your help." "I'm the wagon driver for Sir Mubin." "It's Mubin, Highness. He sent away your guards and opened the gates. The trees! Please come to the court grounds quickly." She was fully awake. What in Asha's name has he done? They raced out of the courtyard of the 12 trees. They raced out to the courtyard of the 12 trees. Aarasil gasped in horror, covering her hand with her mouth. The tremendous roots of one of the majestic trees lay exposed, twisted and clogged with mud. The branches of the tree lay along the ground, with the trunk lashed to Mubin's wagon. Team of 4 mighty Leotau. And down in the pit, where the tree's roots had been torn free, lay Mubin covered in dirt. He had a network of ropes wrapped around him, and there was a shovel to one side. He sat in the mud of the pit he had created, cradling a metallic object in his arms. "Mubin!" shouted Aarasil. The Rocks Knight looked up. He held up the object he was holding. The light of the stars glinted hard and true in the edge of the shard of steel. "I found one of them," Mubin said. "It's a fragment of the sword of Asha." Aarasil's scoured-eyed advisor came running up. "What is going on?" he cried. Aarasil turned to him, a grim vein bulging in her forehead. "Go and fetch 20 mortar-cast ropes and a dozen more steeds and a blacksmith." Hell yeah, brother. Mubin's like, "All right, fine. I'll do it my goddamn self." Ah, bless Mubin. Love him for that. Ugh. He's like, "Oh no, you ain't gonna stop me. I'll do this myself, goddammit." Alrighty, we are back on Grixis, and we are with a Johnny. Lion Daddy. Okay. Ajani, Kresh, and the warriors moved through Grixis as secretly as they could. It wasn't easy. To the blood-tuned senses of the creatures of Grixis, their life force glowed like a beacon. After a rash of battles with the undead, Rot and Icor clung to them, but they marched on. "Catman, you're unstoppable," said Kresh. Kresh is a warrior barbarian from Jund, which is next door to Grixis. Jund is red, black, and green. Let's see. "You haven't rested in days. We've run out of clean food. We're withering away, and yet you walk on." "I can't stop," said Ajani. "The killer must be nearby. I'm smelling the same smell as the creatures that killed my brother. A smelly smell that smells smelly." "We're almost there. I think I can feel it." "We might be," said Kresh, "or we might be lost in the land of the dead. Everything here smells like this. I support your mission of vengeance, I do. It's every man's right to die in battle, slumped over the corpse of his hated enemy. But this is no way to go, for us or for you. I won't watch you die of walking around." Aw. He cares in his own way. Johnny's teeth showed as he spoke. "If you want to leave, go ahead. That's not what my words meant, and I think you know it. I am going to see you through to the end of this thing if it kills me. If you can't stand some sense talked into..." "Shh," said Ajani. "You don't shush me." "Quiet," hissed Ajani. "Do you hear something? Do you hear wings?" Of course, we've heard those black feathered birdmen for days," muttered Kresh. No, he's right, whispered one of the warriors. I hear it too. It sounds like a dragon's wings, said a Johnny. Uh-oh. Oh, itchy nose. Oh, that's better. We're back on Bant. Let's see. All right, we are back on Bant, and we're at a soldier on a lookout at a Bant gatehouse. The soldier on lookout duty at a Bant gatehouse put down her spyglass in order to report. Sir, it's an Avon. He's one of ours, she said. And he is on foot? Said the gate captain incredulously. Yes, said the lookout. He's in bad shape. It could be a trap, but I want you to find out, and quickly. Yes, sir. The Avon had collapsed by the time the guard tower opened its front gate. 2 soldiers and a cleric rushed out to the fallen birdman. This is no trap, said one of the soldiers. This is Qaeda. It was part of the mission of Knight General Rafik. The cleric immediately began chanting. The Avon's wounds closed, but the wing remained destroyed. The Avon stopped breathing. I'm sorry, said the cleric after a moment. He's gone. God damn it. Poor devoted scout, said one of the soldiers. Look at that wing. What happened to him? He's got something with him. It's a scroll. What's it say? Just this. Demons at Gilt Spire. 4 days. Let's tell the gate captain. Hey, he did it. He finished his mission, but at what fucking cost? Let's see. Okay, we're back to Ajani and the Jund barbarians from the Jund barbarians. A dragon flew silhouetted against the lightning-torn sky of Grixis, as dark as shadow. They had seen no other dragons in Grixis at all, and Ajani wondered whether it could be the master of Raqqa and of Marisi, the very dragon he sought. Kresh and the other Jund warriors found cover under the bones of some long-dead beast, having met several dragons in their day. As the dragon flew overhead, Ajani realized it didn't have the light-distorting black scales of the dragon scale bowl. It was red-scaled, with a characteristic woven pattern to the scales on its stomach. This wasn't the dragon that had caused Jazal's death. In fact, the dragon looked strangely familiar. Karthus, said one of the warriors in awe. He's a mighty hellkite from our world, said another. What's he doing here? It was the same dragon Ajani had seen on Jund right after Jazal's death, during his first planeswalk. That was the day he had met Sarkhan. Sarkhan's another planeswalker who's like really, really into dragons. Don't know why. There were more flyers. Trailing behind the huge hellkite were several other smaller dragons. Their wings were punched through with holes, and their scales were in tatters. One of them had a serious wound in its belly, and another had lost a leg. The flight of dragons had been in a fight, and a brutal one. Karthus is being hidden. Oh wait, Karthus is being ridden, said a warrior. They all looked. It's Sarkhan, muttered Kresh, bile dripping from his words. Ajani could see Sarkhan himself riding astride the biggest dragon, the Hellkite. Oh, biggest dragon. The Hellkite, Karthus. That's not the dragon I seek, said Ajani. But that's the man we seek, said Kresh. The dragon sailed overhead, heading to a glow on the horizon. As he looked, Ajani saw a thin line of distortion in the air above their heads, leading in the same direction as Sarkhan and the dragons. It was a stream of raw mana coursing through the air, to the horizon. What should we do? Asked one of the warriors. Who are they? Asked another. A long, strong note blasted on what sounded like a brass instrument. That sounded like an elvish clarion, said Ajani. On the opposite horizon, the tips of elvish banners rose into view. The marching fleet of... No, it says feet, so we're gonna go with fleet. It says feet, but I'm pretty sure they meant fleet. The marching fleet of thousands of individuals resonated through the dead landscape of Grixis. Ajani ran out from their hiding place to meet up with the army. Catman, what are you doing? Catman Crothers, shouted Kresh. I know these people, Ajani called back. Elves, humans, gargantuans, and Nacatl, he said to himself. These are the armies of Naya. So where are they headed? They're headed to the center of all our planes, Johnny thought. Okay, that's the end of that chapter, and it's about to be an ad break time. So I will give that about 33 seconds for the ad to come on. So I'm gonna go ahead and start rambling. I played and beat Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara a couple days ago. It's very short, but it's very good. It's an indie 3D platformer with a focus on speed. Because while every level is technically timed, and you don't, the timer counts up, not down. It does want you, and it encourages you to go as fast as possible. There are collectibles that recur in each level, 3 of them, and they unlock different outfits and stuff throughout the game. Again, the game is very cute, although I don't think they translated it very well. The English is a bit broken in some places, but it really feels like they put some heart into it. Not a lot of heart, just, you can tell that I got the feeling that they really enjoyed what they were doing when they did it. And like I said, it's really short. Like, I think it only took me about 7 hours to finish it, give or take. And then after that, I immediately moved on to my copy of Astrobot, which I got for my birthday. Although the link that I sent my mom to buy it, I didn't realize was a physical copy of a digital code. So what I got in the mail was a fucking piece of paper with the download code on it. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. So I'll have to wait until sometime later to buy a physical copy of Astrobot. It's really fun so far, though. I love it. I love exploring and finding all the little guys. Absolutely precious and wholesome. A lot of good serotonin. It's good stuff. I got my chance to play my 4-color deck, which is the last deck, to finish my collection of commander decks for every color combination. And that last one was white, blue, green, black. And I also finished my second Wooburg deck, which was Tom Bombadil. Although I didn't get a chance to play that one yet. I did play the Sans Red deck, which is, I guess that's the usual what do you call it? The usual lingo for the 4-color decks. It's Sans whatever color it's not using, so it's the Sans Red deck. And it plays really well. Plays real well. I almost won, but the tides turned near the end. It was a big catch-22. It was anyone's game. It was a very interesting one. Those are the kind of games that I love, where like you can't tell who's gonna win until the very end. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I do hope to play my Tom Bombadil deck this Saturday morning, though. It'd be great. Good fun times. My board state's gonna be huge, because for the focus is casting a lot of what the hell are they called? What the fuck? Oh, it's gonna bug me. I don't remember what they're called. And the entire deck is sagas. There it is. The entire deck revolves around sagas, and so there are not that many non-token creatures in the deck, but the ones that are there synergize with enchantments and what's the term? Synergize with like a specific set of creatures, specific set of card types. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like an umbrella term that includes legendary creatures, artifacts, and sagas. And I can't remember what they're fucking called. It's gonna bug the shit. I hate blanking on words like that. It's really annoying. But either way, I've play tested the deck digitally and physically, and it's real fucking fun. It's a bit wheel spinny, but I don't mind that. Real fun. Good stuff. And we're back. Welcome back. Okay. We are in the Maelstrom, and we are with Malfagor. Malfigure. Oh, right next to Maelstrom Wanderer. Lovely. This is Malfagor. He's part demon, part dragon. Right now, he's got an army that's slowly making its way over to Bant. Malfagor's army marched past the mana maelstrom, but the draconic demon stopped. He regarded the storm of mana, letting it whip at his body. It was huge. It filled a depression the size of an inverted mountain, all the naked power swirling before him. It was overwhelmingly seductive. He could just reach out, he thought, and consume it for himself. He was going to do what instead? Be Bolas's errand boy? He had trudged for weeks with the thousands of corpses just to pass the thing by. Bolas had promised Malfagor the remains of Alara once he had fed from its energy. But promises were worthless. He felt betrayal behind Bolas's every word, and with the power contained in that maelstrom, Malfagor could just take the plane for himself. I wouldn't if I were you, said Bolas. Uh-oh, he knows. He knows! A dragon-shaped silhouette separated from the black sky over the maelstrom and formed into the Elder Dragon. A childish prank, said Malfagor. It's beneath you. A prudent one, said Bolas. Tisk. You thought I wouldn't be monitoring your corrupt and blackened soul? Watch all you want, master, said Malfagor, his wings spreading like dark flame. One word, and this army attacks whatever I say. They could do great violence to an old lizard like you. You took longer to get to this point than I expected. Is this how you survived since Alara's beginnings? By waiting for temptation to slap you in the face? I'm surprised I believed you actually had some promise. Bolas said that. Malfagor stepped forward, imposing in his rage. You forget, said Bolas. You have plenty to lose here. I may have a rough time with you and your army, but this mana storm is unstable. Without my influence, it might just rupture at any time. I'm a planeswalker. What do I care? If you try to harvest it and fail miserably, as you certainly would, I will just leave. You, however, will have to stay here and deal with the consequences. Malfagor looked into the maelstrom. Spikes of energy lashed out randomly as it swirled in on itself. I know it's hard for a demon to understand consequences, Bolas said with mock pity, but it's true. I leave, and the cataclysm destroys Alara and everything in it. Even if you survived, you'd have no world left to call your own. A demon lord with no kingdom to rule? Such a shame. The fucking sass on this bitch. Malfagor seethed. You'll die someday, Planeswalker, he said, and somehow, some way, I swear I'll be there to see it. Doubtful on both counts, said Bolas. He is correct. But I appreciate the threatening tone. It does suit you. Now, I think you had an errand to run for me, activating the last obelisk so that my project can be complete. Malfagor's crest burned with swallowed pride. He turned and directed his wrath on his minions. Move! He roared to the army marching onto Bant. He cracked his lash, striking across the backs of every one of his generals in turn, each blow more savage than the last. Cracked his lash? What the fuck are you talking about? You didn't mention a lash. Whatever. Okay, so we're back with Rafik and his army. There's good old Rafik. Is he daddy? Ah! love me some grape soda. Anyway, as Rafik of the Many rode over the hill to the ruins of Giltspire Castle, he saw a glorious thing. The castle was gone, but the brilliant white obelisk remained in its place, and in front of the obelisk facing him was a line of siege engines, mounted knights, and a sea of thousands upon thousands of foot soldiers. Above them, Avens circled in formation, and in the glare of the sun he could even make out the outlines of a few angels. If only he would see the face of that mightiest archangel, Asha herself, he thought. She must be somewhere. It was the battle... What? It was the battle that was Oh my god. It was the battle that was... And I love my... Oh my god. I keep losing my place. It was the battle that was prophesied in the prayer of Asha. It wasn't just going to be a simple battle. It was the demon Malfagor in the flesh, the very same demon Asha died to destroy at the dawn of their recorded tales. Except he hadn't been destroyed. He had only hidden out in the dead world of Grixis, while the 5 worlds were separated. With their reunion, the demonic abomination was back. If only Asha could return from death to fight demonic forces once more. Just as the prayer foretold, doubt and belief struggled for domination in Rafik's heart. He knew that Asha's appearance was the key to winning the war, and that if she didn't show, all of Bant might be lost. But one thing was clear. Qaeda must have delivered the message, and all of Asha's army had assembled at Giltspire. That was a cause for great joy. Sure is, buddy. Excuse me, I even had my mouth closed for that one, damn. The legions of Bant were assembled just in time, too, for Malfagor and his army were only a day behind Rafik. The undead army hadn't stopped to rest, so the Knight General and his knights hadn't been able to either. Rafik had stopped at a guard station just inside the borders of Bant to find a place to stay for some of the survivors from Grixis, including Levac and his wife Saya. Hey, nice. He had ridden on switching mounts at every village he came to, riding day and night until he arrived at Giltspire. There was one man, an old Rox friend of his, who he wished he could have stopped to see. How had Mubin fared in his absence? If they lived through Malfagor's tyranny, then Rafik had exciting news for him. Rafik hoped the shipment of Karmat, the redstone crucial to the creation of Ethereum, had made it back to Bant. Knight General, said a knight riding up to him. Rafik recognized her, and her crisp salute. What the crisp salute. I've never heard a salute being described as crisp. Like a crisp, fresh $1 bill. I am Knight Captain Elspeth. Rafik managed to smile. How's your head, Knight Captain? Fine, sir, fine. I'm glad you made it back safely, but you must be exhausted. Please, come with me. We have food and healers and a place for you to rest. No time for that, said Rafik. Tell me, Elspeth, do you know the word demon? Color bleached from Elspeth's face. Rafik took that as a yes. A demon of legend, Malfagor leads an army from a place of death. His army is not far behind me. You must take me directly to the command tent. We've captured a command post. Aw, love those games. Yeah, okay, yeah. I knew I played them on stream, because I have them in my collection. Enemy forces have captured a command post. Some time passes. The horns of Malfagor were the first sign they heard of... Was the first sign they heard? The battle horns, not like the horns on his head. Oh my god. The horns of Malfagor were the first sign they heard of Grixis' army coming over the hill. Get the casters ready, said Knight General Rafik. What's the status of the sighted cast? The clerics are ready, and the monks, said Knight Captain Elspeth. They await your signal. Okay, tell them to get started. Sir. Elspeth dashed from the command tent. Rafik heard her shouting, Clerics! Outside! The beginnings of the anthem... Clerics! Outside! The beginnings of the anthem being chanted. You, Rafik said to another captain. The archers, have them send volleys as soon as the enemy is in range, and then send in the knights. The captain nodded, saluted, and left the tent. There was only one other person left in the tent, a squire. And you, said Rafik. Is my armor repaired? The squire beamed and nodded. I fitted it with the back plate, just as you requested, Knight General. Good, said Rafik. Let's get it on me, and fetch my sword. That's right, I forgot. For the longest time, band armor had no backplate, because they believed in, like, facing your enemy. And so they never thought to add backplates to their armor. That's both funny and sad. Still, cool idea. Also, those are all of his medals that he's won on his chest and sword. Because he's cool like that. Anyway, I mean, joking aside, his actual card as a commander is fucking bonkers. It's a very powerful deck. That my friend has a Rafik deck. And it's very powerful. He doesn't play it that often because he knows that he almost always wins with it. Excuse me. Some time passes. Outside the ruins of Giltspire, the arrows rain down on Malfagor's troops. Some of the undead minions bothered to raise wooden shields to the assault, but most didn't. The shafts jabbed through the flesh as they were meant to, but the undead didn't mind. In fact, it made them a little spikier, a little tougher to close a little tougher to close for melee. A little tougher to close? To close? What? For the ground battle to come. Malfagor sent in the Cathari. They were unreliable bird creatures, sickly and cowardly, but they blackened the sky with their numbers. Arrows tore through them, thinning them by a tenth in a matter of moments. Again, Malfagor didn't mind. They fell on the battlefield ahead of his main force, providing carrion for the ground troops to feed upon. The rest of the Cathari slashed into the bright, feathered Aven. The efficient movements of the Aven of Bant contrasted with the deranged squawking and snapping of the Cathari, but both were effective, and the Cathari outnumbered the Aven over 3-1. On the ground, Leotau mounted knights slammed into the zombies and skeletons of the main force. The knights were brutally proficient and clearly guarded by protection magic. They sliced through Malfagor's offense unimpeded. Flesh warpers, hit the knights, muttered Malfagor to one of the necromancers, and mop up with the first wave of dreg reavers. Gangs of necromantic task mages engaged the knights, sending spells at them that temporarily dismantled the protection spells, and then deformed the paladin's flesh. The knights screamed as they fell from their mounts, their faces twisting around the back of their heads, and the skin of their limbs flaying away from their bodies. Ouch. The abandoned Leotau steeds roared and slashed through many of the zombies on their own, but eventually they were overcome by wave after wave of animated rotting tissue. Mutated ogre captains took up huge axes and chopped through chain restraints, setting free a flood of dreg reavers, the enormous undead beasts that served as Malfagor's heavy infantry. The ground thundered below the armies of Bant as... that's a word. Pachydermic behemoths. There we go. We're gonna skip over Cloud Kicker just in case. Alright. Charge toward them. Some time passes. The moment that the squire handed Rafik his helmet, the knight general was off. The Leotau felt none of his spurs, but struck vigorously at the ground with its hooves. Nevertheless, the battlefield flew past him, surging by like waves in a tide. He saw the bodies of friends and allies. He saw atrocities that would make the blessed caste weep. But most of all, he saw the realization of prophecy. The prayer of Asha had been true all along. Bubin's suspicions to the contrary were wrong-headed. It hadn't been manipulated for the sake of sparking a war. It was divine instruction for victory in the time of war. And soon, per the prayer, the Archangel Asha herself would appear, push Bant's enemies back, and her blessing would end the war for good. No, you fucking fool! Overhead, the minor angels slashed into the vulture-like Cathari. Embodiments of righteousness and glory, they swung their swords in movements that expressed grace as much as the warrior's spirit. The sky drained of blackness as the few angels tore through Grixis' flyers, and the sun shone through onto the battlefield again. Rafik circled around a confused tangle of Bant knights and rallied them into formation once more. Together they lunged forward into the path of an onrushing Dreg Reaver. The Reaver accelerated into them, threatening to crush them with its low-slung tusks, or impale them with the razor-tipped spears that its riders had lashed into its flanks. At Rafik's signal, the knights split into two groups, letting the Reaver charge between them, and they slashed into its sides with their swords. They tore long gashes in the breast, carving masses of rotten flesh from it, but the razor spears also slashed into them and their mounts. Rafik circled back around to meet it again. The Reaver skidded to a halt, its flanks heaving and rib bones showing through, and turned to face him as well. The two of them charged one another. It would never end by reusing the proper wartime etiquette he had been raised on, Rafik thought. The undead would never fall from mere tissue damage. He would need to do something more drastic. As his Liatao rode toward the monster, Rafik unhooked his boots from the stirrups. With his sword in one hand and the horn of the saddle in the other, he crouched on the Liatao's back, compressed like a spring, just as he saw into the hollow depths of the Dreg Reaver's eye sockets. He leaped, pushing the Liatao out of the path of the beast and himself up into the air. On impact with the creature's face, he rammed the sword steep into its skull, and then somersaulted down its back. He crashed into the undead creature that rode the beast, and the two of them fell off onto the ground. Rafik recovered onto his feet, but so did the rider. Swordless, Rafik was forced to dodge the zombie's attacks as it slashed at him, with a saw-like weapon of bone and metal. He glanced back to see the Dreg Reaver had collapsed and skidded to a halt, its face crushed. There was a chorus of unholy screams. Rafik looked up to see the demons had taken wing to meet the angels. A sight so distracted him that Rafik's undead combatant almost landed a lethal blow. Just before it could, one of the other Bant Knights came riding by and sliced the creature in half. Rafik nodded in gratitude. High above, two of the demons collided with one of the angels, consuming her in a mass of claws and bat wings. There was a shriek, and as the demons parted, there was a burst of light and white feathers where the angel had been. Asha, thought Rafik, if you're going to appear, it would be a good time. Sure would, buddy. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Oh, interesting. The chapters are getting longer again. Alright, we're going to do one more chapter, and then we're going to call it. Back in the Maelstrom. Let's see. Okay, we're back to it, Johnny. Close. 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 There you are. Johnny and his party have made it to the Maelstrom. This is a little too chipper, so we're going to switch it in a little bit. Let's see, is that all of it? Yep, that's it. Alright. Ooh, yes, I love the soundtrack to Transistor. It's gorgeous. Anyway, in the Maelstrom. What is it? Shouted Kresh, shielding his eyes. The storm of light before them was huge, filling the valley between the worlds. It arced and thrashed with power as streams of energy poured into it from four directions. It's mana, said Ajani, his eyes tearing as he stared into its center. It's raw mana. It would have taken staggering amounts of funneled mana to create such a manifestation, Ajani thought. That was the key, he realized. That was the goal of all the machinations. That was the meaning behind the destruction of worlds slamming into worlds. The storm of raw mana that naked spectacle of power. Raka, Marisi, Kimamodel, Mael, and dozens, perhaps hundreds of unwitting minions throughout the 5 worlds of Alara. All their work was in the service of that maelstrom. The master of all those unwitting minions, the nexus of that plane-spanning web, was Bolas. the Dragon of Shadow, and no doubt he would be there soon if he wasn't already. It's beautiful, said the elf prophetess Mael. Ah, the baby's back! The power glinting in her irises. Anima, said Ajani, you've come to war? Behind her, elvish legions stood in formation. Greetings, White Cat, said Mael. We come to help however we can for the sake of Naya and all worlds. I thank you for your help, said Ajani. But you should go. The storm is not stable. Your people are in danger here. Ajani, said another voice he recognized. Ajani turned and saw Zaliki, baby girl. Behind her stood an army of Nakatl. Zaliki, what are you doing here? Said Ajani. He blinked. I need answers, Zaliki said. I followed the stream of mana from the obelisk at Kassal, and it led me here. And an army came with me. They wanted answers too. They're Cloud Nakatl Ajani. I don't understand, said Ajani flatly. But you all need to go. It's very dangerous here. Something dire is about to happen. Ajani, she said, her face serious, I have to tell you something. This is very important. No, you need to go now. I can't have you here. There's a dragon coming and I'm Jazal's murderer. Oh, shit! Ajani's words petered out until his mouth was just hanging empty. Uh-oh. Time passed. Ajani ushered Zaliki aside, away from the glare of the mana maelstrom. I'm so sorry, said Zaliki. I'll understand if you want to kill me or never see me again, but you have to know, I was given the task by Marisi. What? Marisi? You know he's alive? I've known for over a year, Ajani. The witch Kima Model contacted him because she heard there might be a threat to his plans and hers. Jazal. Yes, your brother was seeking answers. Why had the Nakatl clans divided? Why did the humans have a prophecy that required your death? What was the meaning behind the celebrations for Marisi, breaker of the coil? But these questions interfered with Kima Model's plans for the Pride, and with the plans of far greater forces. So they killed him. I killed him. It was I who planted the magics in the bonfire that night. I caused those horrors to emerge at our den. Zaliki, why? I'm so sorry. They told me it would just scare everyone, that it would help the Pride unify around a common enemy. They told me it would be a convincing illusion to help quiet the voices against Marisi. I had no idea it would be an assassination. Ajani's heart pounded. The pain of Jazal's death flooded over him anew. Ajani, said Jazal's voice in his mind. The sound of his voice was jarring. Brother, Ajani answered silently. This isn't the end of your road, said Jazal. Remember who she is. Fucking Lion King ass, remember who you are. She killed you, said Ajani. She brought the spell vessel to the Pride. She brought those creatures to harm you. She was given the task blind, brother, said Jazal. She meant to scare me. She didn't know what it would cause. You would destroy Zaliki for delivering another man's poison? Look at her. You've been friends for your entire lives. She's the only one alive who sees under that white fur of yours. Ajani boiled with rage. Zaliki's eyes didn't rise to meet his own, and tears flowed down her own face. Or if you think it's right, continued Jazal, then do it. Kill her. Avenge me. You've reached your goal. You've found my killer. At last, my spirit will finally rest. So what are you waiting for? Enact your vengeance. Ajani's teeth clenched tight. His brother's voice spoke the truth, but it jabbed him in the heart. Zaliki had made a mistake, influenced by Marisi. Jazal's blood was on Marisi's hands, if anyone's. He was the one who had delivered Bolas's dragon scale orb to the Pride. He was the one who had brought it into Zaliki's hands, and yet Ajani still wanted to close his jaws around her neck. It's your choice, brother, Jazal said, and then fell silent. I knew in my heart it was wrong, Zaliki was saying. I knew the spell was meant for Jazal, and I even knew it was meant to hurt him. Zaliki, I need to know. Where is Marisi now? He is dead. I killed him with my own hands. Just like that, Ajani's chance at vengeance was taken away from him. Ajani, I'm so sorry. I should die. I should die so that Jazal can rest. She buried her face in his chest. Aw. Her voice broke into heaving sobs. She said something over and over. Something obscured by the tears. Eventually, Johnny made it out. I killed him, she was saying. An alloy of pity, disgust, and grief melted together into Johnny's mind. He wanted to push her away, embrace her, and crush her all at once. All forces that fought each other, paralyzing him. After a tortured moment, he stood. Zaliki was a harbinger, not an assassin. In his heart, he knew that. Taking revenge on her would only deepen the injustice Jazal had suffered, and reward the sins of the dark forces far beyond her. Johnny's pursuit was not over, just refocused. He would not stop until the being who truly began the chain of events, the evil ultimately responsible for Jazal's death, was punished. And that is where we will leave it off until next time. Next time we'll be on Bant. But the book is almost over. Let's see. Okay, so right now we're on next would be on page 339, and then the book ends at page 373. So give or take 30 to 40-ish pages. I can't do math in my head very well, but I feel like I could do 30 pages in 2 hours, give or take. So we'll see. But for now, this is where we shall end things. VOD watchers, if I did my editing right, there should be an end card right about here, which will, to my left, there will be a suggested video, and then below that, there will be the full playlist for this read-along, for you to start if you wish to. Until then, bye-bye, VOD watchers.